Welcome SAO survivors! After a long while, we got quite the busy period for Sword Online. Echoes of Aincrad demo, previews for Unanswered Butterfly, the companion movie to the game, the Illustration arc is taking place in real time this week. We finally had the anime movie reveal, SAO Integral Domain, which I'm gonna talk about in the future, next week probably, and Echoes of Aincrad full release on July 9 or 10, depending on your region and platform. Today we're focusing on Echoes of Aincrad. A while back I asked for your questions to relay to Futami-san, the SAO Games producer at Bandai Namco Entertainment, for a little interview, and it's time to deliver on that. It's structured like a casual magazine interview which I plan to post for easy reading at some point, but in this video we'll be diving into the individual questions, timestamps available on your screen right now. I'll be paraphrasing here and there, but you'll have the full questions and answers on the screen if you want to pause and read in such cases. The first question, a bit of a boring one, is for those who were really out of the loop, a quick introduction to Echoes of Aincrad. In Futami-san's words, it's an action RPG that's set in the VRMMORPG Sword Online, where players set out to conquer the world known as Aincrad. Due to a certain incident, the game becomes a death game. If players are defeated in the virtual world, they also lose their lives in reality. Within this perilous setting, players embark on an adventure through Aincrad. Players create their own avatars and experience a story in which they move forward while grappling with the struggles and fears of surviving within this deadly game. In addition, players can explore and chart the uncharted territory of Aincrad, progressing throughout the world using their own unique builds and playstyles. And as a personal addition from my side, those of you who have been following the trailers and the like, especially light novel readers, have probably already recognized some of the struggles and harsh realities of early Aincrad, even drawing parallels to the light novel versions. Of course, immediately afterwards on the menu was the excitement for the English dub a lot of you were asking for over the years. Futami-san highlighted that it was multiple aspects on top of your support and requests over the years that paved the way for such an opportunity. Compared to the years-long SAO Gameverse stories that built upon each other, Echoes of Aincrad takes players all the way to the beginning of the story. No need to play previous games or even watch the anime for that matter, no studying at all needed. With a low barrier of entry, not only was the English dub helpful to allow a massive wave of new fans to enjoy the experience, but such localization also conveys the emotions of the death game much more strongly depending on your preferences. Of course, with the iconic English cast returning with Bryce Papenbrook as Kirito, Sheremile as Asuna, and everyone else, they hope you enjoy the experience in your preferred version. As someone who's interested in branding/marketing side of things, this was more of a personal question from my side. The lack of Sword Online in the title of the game. And as I expected, it very much was an intentional choice, aiming to separate Echoes of Aincrad from following Kirito's journey closely, which has been the case even in the likes of Fatal Bullet and Integral Factor, where your story intertwined regularly with Kirito's, and putting the emphasis onto you instead, immersing yourself in Aincrad. So unlike prior SAO games, Echoes of Aincrad is meant to be your journey first and foremost. Next up, we have the decision to return to Aincrad after all those years, alongside a large overhaul. It basically has been over a decade since Infinity Moment/Hollow Fragment, so Futami-san highlighted the advancement of the tech over the years, as well as how much fans have been asking for an experience in Aincrad to begin with. I like the gradually bring players closer to an adventure within Aincrad. Maybe it's the excited fan in me screaming here, but maybe not full dive, but if the VR tech ever gets to a reasonable point, I digress. The goal was to reimagine both the gameplay and the story, bringing SAO the game to a modern look while preserving the core essence of its experience in an action RPG format, that is. Now, being so deeply embedded in the series, I am in the camp that 2 floors in SAO leads to a massive game world to play in, but understandably, not everyone is convinced when the series itself promises a floating castle with 100 floors. So, I want to get a little more from Futami-san on the matter to hopefully ease your concerns. In our early preview a couple weeks ago, we got to play an early mission from the full game as well that took us from the town of beginnings all the way to Horunka, the same journey Kirito takes early on right after Kayaba's announcement. And in fact, you guys playing the demo took a similar journey already, it's just separated into multiple missions as the demo content was meant to be more digestible. Futami-san further highlighted the seamless connectivity of the individual map regions and how you can see the Labyrinth Tower all the way in the distance from the town of beginnings. All the map regions do connect to each other, and as an addition from my time with the full game, the more missions you play, the further you go into the story, the more the map opens up for exploration as well. So it's not just small chunks of 2-3 regions either, if that was a concern based on your experience in the demo. Futami-san also highlights floor 2 to be similarly expansive, that encourages you to explore the map. And of course, both floors feature procedurally generated dungeons, which you got a small taste of in the demo, with the teardrop cave only acting as the introduction to the concept, but there'll be traps in there and other valuable rewards waiting to be explored in much larger dungeons. Related to that, I wanted to ask about the faithfulness of the game to the series itself, as it's a large topic of contention. The key aspect that Futami-san also reiterates here is that you need to consider that the realities of Echoes of Aincrad, the game you're playing, are a bit separate from that of Aincrad, the game in the universe, to ensure an enjoyable gaming experience. You've experienced part of it as well if you played the demo, with the level cap of 15 there already being higher than that of Kirito at the end of floor 2. So their goal has been to incorporate aspects like the lore and world building of Aincrad as the backbone of the entire experience, and to have you experience SAO as if you were part of that world, without compromising on your meta experience, let's say, with the game, in order to have a player progression and a world you can still enjoy. Sadly, for light novel fans, my attempts to snatch some additional character reveals like Kismel were unsuccessful, but I was very happy to hear that they do have a vision for what might follow afterwards if Echoes of Aincrad leaves players hungry for more of the world. Equally sadly, a lot of you had asked about it, but casual skills will not be in the game. But hey, you'll never know when a trademark fishing minigame feature will be implemented into a game from Japan. It's always a fan favorite. Now, this comes from one of my earliest personal observations from the initial IGN preview, and since then, I found myself in such situations quite often when playing the game. Some of you felt it only briefly very early on until you quickly overleveled the demo content, and you know, I should add, don't get complacent because of the demo as well, but as Futami-san mentions, the game really wants you to remain on your toes regardless of the difficulty and regardless of how safe you think you are. The death game mode is there as a choice to be the ultimate SAO experience, to enforce that pressure of one life, but for those who simply want to play an action RPG, the normal mode exists just the same, so it's up to your preference to enjoy however you want. But again, never let your guard down or the game will hunt you down. As a quick reminder on the topic from my side though, death game is not a difficulty option, but a mode that applies to your save file that wipes it upon death. You can either play normal mode or death game mode in the difficulty of your choosing. They are two separate toggles. Next one is a bit of an obvious one for those paying attention, but clearly, with only 2 floors available in the game, the story would not be revolving around floor clearing. And that assumption was indeed correct. Futami-san refers to floor clearing as part of Kirito & Co.'s story, but Echoes of Aincrad puts the emphasis on us as ordinary players, effectively diverting our path from that of the clearers. We've seen glimpses of this in some trailers as well. On the topic of endgame content, which has remained a mystery for a while now, Futami-san reiterated that there is endgame content available following the story. However, unlike some prior SAO titles, Echoes of Aincrad is not designed to offer hundreds of hours of post-game content. The story itself is brought into the spotlight here once more, so it sounds to me like they really wanted this to be a solid and focused story-driven RPG experience. I personally continue to look forward to the post-game content though, as games with similar goals often have some short but exciting challenge type content. But of course, the ultimate challenge is the death game mode itself, the thrill of that one life. Deluxe and Ultimate Editions receive the mode from the get-go, whereas base game players will unlock it for free on their second playthrough. And as a little teaser, don't get overconfident based on your experience from the demo. Remember, it's also canon that Kayaba made a lot of changes to the full game to catch unsuspecting beta testers off guard. That is an actual warning for you guys. This was a major fan requested question, especially those who have played prior Hollow style games, Hollow Fragment, Realization Licorice, and Last Recollection. Sadly, or luckily, depending on your perspective, as some completionists often found them a bit too grindy, there are no bond mechanics of any kind in Echoes of Aincrad. Once again, Futami-san reiterates that Echoes is very much a main campaign-driven game on this front. But as is often the case, it all depends on how players engage with the characters, and if they want to see more of Iori and the others, that can make it a consideration for a potential future. Next up, the Unanswered Butterfly movie, the promotional movie project releasing with the Ultimate Edition of Echoes of Aincrad. By the time this video goes up, some of you have already seen the 18-minute preview on Bandai Namco EU or America channels, whereas Japan got a lengthy preview, I believe close to, if not the entire movie, so hopefully you got a taste of it already. But Futami-san mentions that they tried to take a similar approach to the movie as they did with the game, to provide a perspective into SAO from the eyes of ordinary people, Rex and Emirun in this case, for a fresh and unique way to enjoy the world. The movie takes place slightly further than the main story of the game, but it seems like there will be connections between the story of the game and the movie itself. On an additional personal note, if you're curious or afraid of whether the movie spoils anything for the story of the game, I personally did not get a sense that I was spoiled by anything per se. Naturally, some characters do overlap between the two projects, there are some name drops here and there, but unless you're extremely spoiler sensitive, you can watch the movie and enjoy it without any worries of spoilers. Now, the lightning round questions as I presented them, and they were lightning round because I roughly expected these answers, but y'all asked about these very strongly, so at the very least the goal in asking them was to relay all your interest rather than the answers they'd receive, and I feel like Futami-san completely understood that considering his answers. Question 1. Any surprise character inclusions, hinting at Aincrad-based game or light novel characters like Filia Rein Koharu or Kismel Morteneza? Answer. If people enjoy the concept of Echoes of Aincrad, we certainly would like to explore these characters. Question 2. Chance for a Switch 2 version? Answer 2. Currently no plans, but if there's demand, the possibility is of course open. Question 3. More floors? Answer 3. Depends on the interest. Question 4. The multiplayer situation? Answer 4. Echoes was designed as a single-player RPG for the new game system we built. Regarding the future, it's a matter of demand when we build upon it. So at this point, you get the gist of it. The current focus is Echoes of Aincrad as it is, and while ideas and potentials are obviously out there, ultimately they hinge upon how this fresh take is received by fans. And it's less about spamming under social media posts and more about your actual engagement with the game itself, you know, live streams, the trophy statistics, play times, opinions shared around organically. Obviously, sales figures are a huge part of that. They all matter a lot. At the end of the day, it's up to us all to show what we want for the future. Oh, and final lightning round question, a bit random in the middle of these, but a lot of you asked for dyeing equipment. Yes, you unlock armor dye mechanic by completing a side quest in the game. It's quite early on. They actually very recently showcased it on a Dengeki livestream as well. So you can dye your armor, not the weapons. As part of the interview, I also had asked about the potential for a demo release, but they announced the demo literally one day after we sent the interview questions over, so that kinda happened. Last but not least, though, I had a personal question. Those of you who read the light novels probably know this, but there's a nice little anecdote by Kawahara Reki asking Futami Yousuke to make a game where players can adventure throughout the entire underworld. Over a decade ago this was, from Sword Art Online Volume 16. That wish of Kawahara-san has become a reality with Alicization Lycoris and Last Recollection, so I wanted to tease about an eventual Unital Ring game, you know, bringing up our little April Fool's project, Sword Art Online Hollow Nexus, featuring Aeoline Harlands. I'll leave you all with Futami-san's answer on that one, and as always, one last reminder that your support of the series, be it games, anime, light novels, and how you engage with all of them, shapes the series that we all love and enjoy. So, never let anyone make you feel bad for trying to provide genuine praise or constructive criticism. With massive fan bases, there's always gonna be differences in opinions, but that's for the teams in charge to find optimal solutions too, and your feedback helps them carve those paths. I'll see you all in Aincrad, and until then, stay cool.